Strix versus Shreekz. Thanks for being here, and we're going to get started. Furious George, I believe, is Strixel, aka Roxanne. She goes by a lot of names here. I'll just say Strixel for now. And Shreekz in the red. This is the losers match, so they both are down. But one of these two gets to fight back up towards the possible second winning spot here. So loser is eliminated and winner moves on to the final match. Let's see how they do. Got some rooting for Shreekz here in the chat. Yeah, I'm hoping this is a good series, not just a 2-0. I'm hoping this is a nice 2-1. It looks like Shreekz doing a bit of a 5-farm single. That looks like a safety one. Not really a solid rush, but if it's defensive, it's solid. There we go. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, an excellent 5-farm safety. Pop that down, get a unit queued, and then you throw some farms down. You actually have a squirrel. This is a very QQ-styled way to do it. I like to supply block and not even have the first squirrel, but QQ likes to get one squirrel, so if your opponent does not respect you, you can pick something off or be annoying with it. Even just that mine. But as it is, both sides going to get their... Ooh, okay. Strixel actually a little bit late on the 8th farm here, so Shreekz is actually a little bit ahead in eco. So, very safe opening there. Ooh, my monitor is pointed funny. Let me just adjust that. Ooh, there we go. I can see you guys. Oh, we got the, I think I've heard that one before, Larry. It's a good one. It's a good one. And since this will be going on YouTube, that'll be immortalized for all time. So Strixel here, playing a bit defensive with the MG. Not sure what she's trying to float, or not sure what she's trying to put down. She's got a pile-style deck. I should have mentioned this sooner. All structures and a bunch of lizards. So you can go mass lizard. You can try to take a forward position and play defensive. You can go for base trades. There's a lot of options, but it's definitely not a very meta style. So we might see lizards do beat squirrels in an open fight, as we saw there, and they get away. Shreekz with a much more standard deck. This is super, super safe and stable deck here. Here from Shreekz. The Boar Falcon Cam Squirrel combo. Plus some pigeons, ideally for the boar or for Cam Falcon, and then some MGs for safety as well. Now this ought to go lizard favor just because... Oh, no, okay, just enough squirrels there. Pull out, and Shreekz is actually taking a pretty neat edge here. Getting the expansion safely up with an additional farm and taking the army lead. Careful not to push into the turrets, though. Yeah, and with structures, I think Strixel's going to have no problem being safe, greeting up a little bit on this expansion, but got to be careful about poking out with the lizards here. Looks like both sides just sticking with the mass tier 1. I mean, I guess that's all Strixel has, but the for Shreekz, he's just sticking with mass squirrel, which is always a safe bet, assuming your opponent isn't going like skunks or something. The commander did go down, but this is actually convenient. Not a bad engagement, even without the commander there. So, yeah, as I was saying, just sticking with pure squirrel is not a bad idea. It's very meta right now, and there's not very many direct counters. Certainly none that Strixel has out right now. This is a tough position to push into, though, with the MGs and the mines. Yeah, that MG just gets a lot of firepower. So pretty good engage there for Strixel, actually. I think Shreekz has a crap load of extra eco, but, you know, you don't want to push it yet. You want to wait until the eco kicks in here. Would be a very safe time, especially because your opponent is using structures. It would be a very safe time to try to get a boar or some cams. Right now, just massing more squirrel. Hey, thanks for the sub. I'm doing my best here. I'm organizing this tournament, and so I don't find as much time for casting or streaming it, but I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the sub. All right. Roxy over here getting some extra farms going. Shreekz keeping the eco lead, and so many squirrels. My goodness. This is starting to be the number of squirrels that can actually just push through MGs. Like, these turrets are not going to be able to hold this many squirrels. Maybe that one on high ground is going to get enough extra value, but... Alright. and backing away after taking another trade. That trade was actually technically good for Roxy, but since Shreekz has the eco lead... Oh, some Falcons. I like it. I like it. Falcons will give some high ground vision, as well as being less vulnerable to the wire, which... Ooh, nice catch here. Going to pick off some wire before it's down. Got to be careful pushing into the wire, because it gets a lot of value against masked tier 1, even with pigeons. But picking off a few wire before it finishes is always nice. And Roxy's not safe to really fully farm up here. Yeah, Shriek's playing very well so far. Okay, queuing that farm. Going to keep the Falcons supply blocked. So the Falcons aren't going to get much value yet, but that's fine. That's fine. Shreek's is ahead, and keeping ahead on eco is very good. Going to kill off a few lizards here, and potentially knock down these MGs, actually. This is a pretty good spot. The thing about fighting MGs is you have to be very decisive. You have to just go for it or not. But he has enough. Taking some good early engagements and keeping the squirrel pressure on. Shreekz takes game 1. All right, Shreekz up here, up a game, holding off the pile style. Pile style is a very old style, and it's not a bad style. So definitely props to Shreekz holding that off, playing very well with the squirrels. Some good engagements and some good decision making. And Furious George, aka Roxy, aka Strixel, up here in the green. Looking like a little bit more of a standard deck. We've got squirrels, we've got cams, we've got some skunks, we got a fox. So it's not super meta, but it's definitely more standard than the pile style. And Shreekz here, very similar to last time, the same base of squirrel skunk falcon, or sorry, squirrel cam falcon, but also some skunks and the wolf. I'm a fan of the boar myself, but wolf is not bad. Wolf is definitely one of the stronger high-tech units this patch. For those of you who are less familiar with Tooth and Tail, the cheapest units here are going to be the squirrel and the MG for Shreekz, and the cheapest units up here are going to be the squirrel and the pigeon. Late game units, we've got the wolf is super expensive over here for Shreekz. It's the tier 3 hero unit, and it's a buffing unit. It buffs everything, the attack speed and the movement speed of units around it. And the fox over here is the expensive tech unit for Roxy. And the fox is a sniper. It can move fast, and it does a lot of damage, but it's pretty low on health, so a lot of micro there. And I think that wolf, when combined with a lot of squirrels, like you can buff a lot of squirrels, and that's actually pretty decent against a fox. But Roxy already getting into some cams here as Shreekz tries to take a forward expansion. So as long as Shreekz plays it safe and gets enough squirrels and turrets to survive, he'll be all right. Otherwise, if he's a little too greedy or doesn't respect the cams, Roxy might just be able to run over with an early cam timing push. And there's the expansion for Roxy as well. So pretty standard, good openings from both sides for sure. I'd love to see some tech. Oh, I was going to say I'd love to see some tech out of Shreekz. Now, I do want to say that Falcons is rarely a good starting tier 2. I would say Skunk or Cam are just so much better already. Cams are an amazing fighting unit by themselves or in small comps, and Skunks are good against mass tier 1. Falcons are not as good without support because they need a tank, otherwise they die very quickly, especially to mass squirrel. So also attacking in here before, you see how well cams do in these small comps, just killing so many squirrels. Before the Falcons were up, Shreekz needed to play a little bit more defensive, and it looks like Roxy's already going to probably snipe this mill, all these pigs, and get more than enough damage. So pretty good opening, but just one little misstep there, stepping forward with the army before you're ready. And the cams are going to get plenty of value here. One cam does go down, and a very good MG here so that Shreekz can stay alive. Note, Roxy doesn't actually have any farms yet, so that was a shitload of value, I could say. But technically not game over yet. Just Roxy takes a very commanding position here and is going to go ahead and get into Skunks. Skunks are going to be good versus mass tier 1, which is exactly what Shreekz has, so that's a direct counter. So Roxy taking the tech lead here with some cams and skunks also starting to farm up on the expansion and going around the turrets. Nice. Okay, so just putting pressure on Shreek's turret is not going to help. The turret that's over here is not going to be helpful for this fight, unfortunately, and here the skunk gas getting a lot of value. Now, Roxy did lose the cams to that second turret, so this turret was very good. Getting some tech as well. I don't blame Shreek's for trying to get back into it here, being a little greedy, but again, Falcons are rarely the best choice for a starting tier 2. Falcons are very, very good in large numbers and with tanks and stuff, but as a starting tier 2, if you've got other options, I would go with the other options. Hey, Foxy Socks Plays, aka Furious George, aka Roxy, aka Strixel, welcome in. Nice job playing the tech advantage here. Keeping Eco ahead, which is what we saw at Shreek's game 1. Unfortunately, the roles have reversed. The only thing keeping Shreek's alive right now is those MGs. I would love to see if he could get a couple of cams out, but it might be too late. Here we go. The MG's going to get picked off before the squirrels are there to support, and all of the skunk gas is going to get a lot of value right from the beginning here, so I think that's just going to be a straight push from Strixel. Keeping the cam alive because it's low on hit points. Just going to get a little bit more value. Save the expensive tech units. Very, very smart. There was a little bit wasteful there at the end with those squirrels, but I understand the urge to get the tech units out of there and maybe sacrifice the squirrels just to make sure you can keep your expensive units alive. Very nice. More cams coming up as well. If you thought 2 cams was strong, just wait until you see 4. And Shreek's unfortunately just doesn't have the squirrel count here. It's, at this point, a couple of good attacks from Strixel. I think it's basically game over, unless Shreek's can try something a little bit crazy, but he doesn't really have the food to buy a mill over here. Last attack comes in, and I think they're just going to snipe this mill with the 4 cams while the skunks keep the red squirrels pinned down. This could just be an attack move. Here we go. All right, and we have a series tied up 1-1. Strixel with a pretty commanding tier 2 play there. Let's get into the third game. So this is exactly what I was looking for. Going to game 3, a closer series. Shreek's with a little bit of a spicier play here. So Lizard into Falcon Cam. Falcon Cam, very standard again. And Lizard Turret is definitely something you can do. Also, going pure Lizard, it makes a Falcon opening slightly better. It's a little bit complicated as to why, but opening Falcon first is slightly more viable with Lizards than it is with Squirrels. Just take my word for it. So this is not a bad deck at all. Owl and Artie both make for a good late game. So the only weakness here is going to be in the early game. If Strixel had Toads, for example, that would be about it. But here we go. We might have a 5-farm double rush and a good execution too. Selling down that farm and popping the Lizard Warrens down while Strixel's not looking. So a very well executed. Now Strixel's going to go for a 7-farm single, probably suspicious of a rush, so that's a great option. I usually like to supply block and get that 8th farm until I scout, but it's fine. So Strixel's already going to be slightly more well prepared for this rush than otherwise. And with the turret, Shreek's could try to go around, but I think this is basically held. I don't know, as Shreek's, I would just maybe return home, sell a Warren, buy a bunch of farms, buy another Warren kind of thing. Hard to say. All right, committing to the rush a little bit. Gonna queue up one more farm, get another Lizard Warren going, and maybe try to put on some pressure. You can't engage into the MG like this, but you do have 6 lizards to 3 squirrels, so you can go from the angle. Nice call. Gonna pick off at least a pig and get away. That's a pig for 4 lizards, which is slightly better for the green player here. All right, we got a question in the chat. Tander, what's a good answer to early cam? To be honest, more cams, but listen, cams don't have a direct counter in this game. They have a lot of indirect counters. They have a lot of soft counters, but they have no hard counters right now, is my opinion. So if you are not playing too greedy, then you should be fine against an early cam. If you attack into the early cam, you're screwed. But if you play defensive and are not too greedy, then the cams should not have too much of an edge on you, and you'll be fine with just like Mass Squirrel or Mass Squizzard or some cams of your own, or even just like a couple of mines on top of your army or an MG. So it's complicated is the short answer, but basically if your opponent has cams, you can't really be as greedy because they'll just win a fight. Toads are... Actually, if I'm the squirrel cam player, I'd love to see toads because I can tank the toads with the cams and then my squirrels are doing fine. So there's kind of counter micro both ways, so not a direct counter. Toads can work against cams, but they can also not work, so it depends. I'm thinking about doing some videos in the future that go into more questions like that. So for now, that'll have to do. Sorry, I don't have a more direct answer, but stick around. If you're watching the YouTube, hit subscribe and keep an eye out. If you're in the Twitch stream, maybe join the Discord. All right, Roxy actually coming from an angle here, picking off a couple of Warrens. 2 Warrens already, which is kind of a big deal. Now you can see here the Falcon is kind of hiding behind the Lizard, so it's actually not getting picked off as well. So the Falcon getting its value, you just got to be careful with it. But Shreekz did lose 2 Warrens, which is a lot of value. Now Shreekz actually has a couple of farms going down, and Roxy's playing very defensively with these MGs. So I think Shreekz could actually just farm up and buy some more Warrens and be just fine here. Generally speaking, you don't want to be just sitting on MGs permanently. You want to use them when you think you're going to be attacked. So if you've just picked off a couple of Warrens, you're probably not going to be attacked, or if you do, you'll be fine. So you can sell an MG or two. Like in this case, Strixel wins this fight handily without the MGs. So you may as well sell them and get some more units or something. All right, coming in here, picking off this valuable expansion while Shreek's army is not there. Already killing 2 pigs, and 1 cam does get away. Again, kind of leaving the squirrels behind for not the very best trade, but it helps really make sure the cam gets away, so I understand completely. And Shreek's pursuing with the falcons, and okay, all right. So Strixel definitely taking a lead here. Let me catch up with the chat again. What about a shit ton of toads? Enough to frighten you? I would say, generally speaking, toads are good in like moderate numbers, 6 to 9 of them. An insane amount of toads can be very spicy and very fun, but sometimes doesn't work out well. All right, here we have another engagement. The Falcon's getting a lot of damage and not getting picked off yet, but I think now Strixel can definitely chase them down, so Shreekz is making this Falcon starter work when it's not the most ideal, but that's okay. Yeah, actually having these 4 Falcons, like I said, Falcons are better in numbers, so I think 4 is already so much better than 2, so it's not bad at all. All right, more in the chat here. Learned a whole lot participating in this. Good. There's a lot of situations and unit interactions to learn. It's like a years-long process for sure, so no rush. All right, the Falcons are going to get picked off here if he's not careful. Okay, 1 does go down, but that's it. Name's Roxy, but Strixel's the VTuber thing. Okay, which do you prefer in this case, actually? For the tournament, which would you rather? All right, Strixel able to really get up to the full 8 farms on the expansion, which is excellent. And Shriek's not far behind, but these Falcons are really going to get picked off now. There's enough squirrels. The best counter to Falcon is just lots of squirrels, if you can get away with it, especially in the early game. So you can see there those Falcons got almost nothing done. And this should be just a death push. And it looks like Strixel Punk is going to go on to the final match here, picking off yet another Falcon, and no more economy for Shreekz. The last thing to do is to try to go for a base trade, but you got to be ready for it a little bit sooner. All right, GG's, and some good play out of Shreekz, so hopefully that was a better experience for him. I know in the past he's been relatively frustrated, but that was some good stuff.